linguistics, I guess is the term they use, and they don't question what I do, but they're not going to try to integrate it either. It's like this is way over their head, and they know Fetch is pretty smart. You know, he knows what he's doing, and they're not going to even bother to try to question my work. So I haven't had from that point of view. But if you look back in history, Dr. Mario Pei, you had Ivan Panini, and a few others. They had tried. You know, there were efforts at doing it, but this died out with the Masonic movement that pretty much died out after the 30s. There was like an uprising in the 30s, and then after Roswell, we see everything getting quenched and squashed for whatever reasons, and so we don't see it anymore. And no, they have not approached me, or nor have I approached anyone recently, or even in the past 5-10 years.
I would hope it wouldn't be this way, but I predict that anybody who's got academic credentials wouldn't want to touch this.
Well, I do know that some of my readers have taken the concept to some of the academics in Italy. I've seen some activity in Italy. I've been warned that I would be getting some hits on the blog from Italy, and indeed that did happen. I got some hits out of Milan, out of Rome. So basically, someone are looking at it, but yeah, I think in general, you might be right. You know, it'd be difficult for any of these academics to touch it, but I also think that the time's getting to where we can actually talk about it. I keep my pulse on everything very strong. We've had a lot of movies out there, from the Da Vinci Code to A Beautiful Mind, Pi, the movie, 23. We've had, The Matrix Reloaded. We've had a large amount of movies that have come out that kind of hint all around the surface, a national treasure, that hint around this. So I believe that it's much more open today than it would have been, let's say, 3 to 5 years ago. And I believe that at some point in time, it's actually going to happen. If you have something that's based on some truth and you can prove it, you're going to get someone that's going to go ahead and take a chance on it. And I believe that it's coming. I don't think that it's like a death knell to somebody. But it has to be done at the right time with the right person.
I appreciate your optimism regarding it, too, because I would like to think that the truth would come out eventually. Could you talk a little bit about the basis for the English language? You mentioned it's based on the number pi. Why is this? What is the reason behind it? I'm curious about where all this comes from.
Well, if you look at Freemasonry, they talk about this lost word, and they speak about this lost word, not so much that it was lost. Yes, it's lost. And if you look at all of us as we've come up academically, we don't know. I mean, how would we know? We're born into ignorance, as they say. And so this lost word is spoken of such that it's already been recovered. They've recovered it. They're not saying it's lost for good. They're just saying it's been lost, and that its recovery is this exposition of what is this divine truth. So the idea is then, of course, from our Western esoteric systems, is to find what is this lost word. And we could go into rabbinical Qabalah to find it, and a lot of people try. But as I studied it, and of course I studied rabbinical Qabalah, I just couldn't find a case for it. I just couldn't find a case for it in the way that I understood how the Freemasons were speaking about it. It had to be something that was rationally recoverable. And it had to fit, of course, the science, not the science, but the history of what was being left to us throughout the Freemasonic texts. So it was obvious that this word was an alphabet, because from the alphabet you create all things. And this is true of the Zohar. It's, they talk about the alphabet is from what all things come. And if you really study Qabalah, and I know you studied some Qabalah, and you have a lot of Kabbalists on your show.
Sure.
There's this idea of, this magical word. It's part of our culture. It's part of our history. But my approach, I didn't feel as if I stayed in these traditional systems, I was going to find it. Because if it's the occult, I'm telling myself, well, why am I going to go find it in something that's already mass market released? I had to go outside of this mass market envelope. And where did it lead me? It led me back to the English and the English language.
Do you posit that English was created whole cloth, or that there were only certain words that were created, or that the alphabet as a whole? I mean, I'm trying to gauge the scope of this effort. Is it the entire English language? Is it part of it? Is it just the alphabet? How much are we talking about?
I believe, from my study, and this is pure conjecture, and then I put my case forward in the blog. But I believe the alphabet is the key because it's the omnific word. It's this hyperdimensional representation of pi. Now, as a code, if it is a code, then this alphabet will encode various concepts, which again we show very strongly how it does. Then from there, the language must elaborate further upon this code. So I believe that once these guys settled on their 26-digit alphabet, and they tell us, like Frank Higgins, Godfrey Higgins, they tell us, look, our system is based on 26. It's not based on 22. It's not based on 23. It's not based on 24. And the reason why I say that is because there's various alphabets that have been in use that use a 22-digit alphabet, a 23-digit alphabet, like the English language was missing 3 letters, a 24-letter alphabet. So they tell us specifically, guys, we did it based on 26. Well, the only alphabet out there that's based on 26 that was really influenced by Freemasonry was the English language. Mm-hmm. So it has to be the English language they're referring to. Then it becomes embedding their philosophy literally into the entire language, such that once it's spun off, the archetypes are in place because the archetypes are fused to number. And once those numbers and letters and sounds are fused, which was done in that early point in the Rosicrucian/Bacon era, it was impossible to stop the spin from becoming what it would be today. It was just impossible.
Now, you mentioned the name Bacon, and I'm curious how integral to this effort do you think Sir Francis Bacon was?
Well, based on the research I've come across, Bacon was integral. He was one of the keys. Mm-hmm. He and his Rosicrucian friends were basically, once it was set in place, there were people before Bacon, of course, but once it was set in place, the core was set into place. It was Bacon. It was the troubadours. The troubadours had a lot of help in this. They were the key people. The Rosicrucians were really one of the keys with the Bacon movement. And these people, of course, would basically make their way to America. And this would be this Osirian influenced Freemasonic / cryptid goddess worship. Mm-hmm. Freemasonry in America was really preserving the sacred feminine. That's why you'll see a lot of times, they're worshiping this feminine figure, or they're exalting this feminine figure in a lot of their art. So what they were doing really is taking their philosophy and using their craft to preserve sacred feminine mysticism.
Now, there may be a lot of people listening to this who are Masons and have studied Masonry and may reach different conclusions, and I'm curious, and you probably encountered these people, mm-hmm. Through your website. How do you respond to those who say the lost word is a spiritual idea, or it's some kind of an allegory, or maybe that the whole concept that Masons are involved in studying and promulgating a system that they themselves don't even understand in a lot of ways?
Well, I've been fortunate. I've met Freemasons from all over the world, both through the public chat channels, the public forums, and then in real life. And those I met in real life, we've taken time to sit and talk, and they have told me, quite frankly, said, Dennis, we've heard of this concept before, but we never had anybody in our lodges who was able to teach it. Or, I saw something like this 40 years ago, but nobody was ever to really explain how it worked. So I've had a lot of Freemasons actually say, what you're doing, we've heard of what you're doing, but nobody could ever teach it like you're teaching it. And then I've got the Freemasons that are basically, they're following what we call the Noahidist type of schools. They're indoctrinated into this Noahide law, this really rabbinical system that Pike really put forward and Crowley helped expand and make popular. And they're following this path. And it's, you can't talk to these type of people because, quite frankly, they have their belief systems. They're going to believe in it. You can't really change it unless they're of an open mind like anybody else with a belief system. So those types of people I just let pass on because we're talking apples and they're talking oranges. Or they're talking lemons, really. And I don't have time. I understand what we have in the English language. I'm here to talk about the English language. I'm not here to try to sell a rabbinical system, and I make no bones about that.
A lot of times, just like yourself, I run into people who are, I guess you could say, prejudiced in terms of English versus Hebrew, Qabalah.
Yes.
In their mind, Qabalah is a historical and living tradition based on Hebrew, the Hebrew alphabet. It's like there's no room for modernity to peek in.
Well, yeah, you're right. You're right. I have no doubt you cross this because so do I. But, we have to look at this. Our role as educators, and we're educators at the end of the day. But our role as educators is to not just accept statements as truth. Okay? It's not our job. Our job is to peer further in and educate and provide real knowledge, real information that helps people achieve their goal of advancing their spiritual knowledge. And when we look at Qabalah from a rabbinical sense, we have to go from our Western traditions. We have to track back our history. Our history, okay, we know we have to talk about Bacon. We then have to go back to John Dee. We know what he was doing. Then we have to go back to John Dee's teacher was Trithemius, or actually was Cornelius Agrippa. Then we have to go back to Trithemius. Agrippa is laughing. He's laughing. If you read Agrippa, really, he laughs at the absurdity of rabbinical Qabalah. He laughs at it. So if one of our primary sources is basically laughing at the way the rabbis, or the rabbins as they call them, were doing their Qabalah, and this is one of our prime teachers, which would then be Cornelius Agrippa, why should we give this system any more credit than someone a lot smarter than you and me? Meaning Cornelius Agrippa. He's a lot smarter than I'll ever be on this stuff, probably. Why should I give them the time of day either? I don't need to. And then they talk about their oral traditions. Well, their oral traditions go back to Noah. Well, we already know Noah is a fraud. It's a fraud, guys. It's stolen from the Epic of Gilgamesh. So why am I going to go back to this crafted occult mythology? Why? You want to prejudice me? Well, first of all, don't tell me your Santa Claus is real, because it's not. It's not. Because I approach it from a hyper-rational point of view. I'm not interested in mythology. I'm just not interested. I take a very high-level rational approach to my craft. And I'll be happy to accept the rabbinical system. And yes, I'm sure it has its values. But still, we show that it's tied and linked to English and actually subjected to English in its core codes. Mm-hmm. So there's zero reason for me to basically be confronted with any type of rabbinical system and actually just bow down and say, "Oh, I'm sorry to offend you." No, don't. Look, you have your system, I have mine. I'm going to put mine forward just as strong as you're going to put yours forward, and then let's see what the reader agrees about.